Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathan, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Prefects on the Couch. As you can see, we're on a different location today with some different personnel, and despite having a few changes being made, the lineup for today's episode is that of a seriously high-quality one. On today's episode, we have Emmanuel Rousseau, one of SACS's math geniuses. We have Daniel Smith, an SA cricket player. We have Didi Isabella, a top-quality soccer player, and one of our very own teachers, Mrs. Kruger. So I'm sure you guys don't want me to drone on and on, so we'll get straight into it, starting with one of the world's most incredible academic minds. As I'm sure all of you know, Emmanuel Rousseau is one of the most highly decorated mathematicians in the world for his age. But not only that, he's a fantastic hurdler and one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet. So Emmanuel, do you mind just trying briefly today to give us some insight into your brain, maybe how you think, to give us just an idea of, what does the future look like for you? What are you wanting to do after school? Have you come up with any new formulas or algorithms? Because if you guys don't know, Emmanuel comes up with these things all on his own. And just briefly give us an insight into, what's in store for us.
Yeah, so thanks, Nathan. So a lot of people will be asking me, why am I so smart? So to answer this question, I have done fairly well in academics and my maths, but I'm also still very young and I'm still learning a lot. So I believe that each and every one of us have been given God-given talents, but it is a question of finding what we're passionate about and focusing on it. There's also a saying that says that genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. My achievements, I have gotten a lot of achievements through grade 7, 8, and 9. I'll just list some of them briefly. So in grade 7, I came 10th in South Africa for the grade 8 and 9 National Olympiad. And in grade 8 and 9, I came first for that Olympiad. In grade 7, I also won a bronze medal for the international math competition, which took place in India, and after that, subsequent years in Bulgaria and Durban, I also won a bronze medal. So I don't just do maths, I also excel in programming. Last year I came top 20 in the programming Olympiad in South Africa. But I'm not good at every subject. I also struggle a bit of English literature and life orientation at school. So I also have some struggling to do. You guys are not the only ones. So also, you might ask, how do I prepare for these Olympiads and competitions? Do I just pitch up and write the test? So most of the time, I prepare like a week or two in advance. I look online. There's a lot of material from different lecturers all over the world, and they wrote books about how to prepare all these different ways of solving the questions. There's also past papers, practicing questions. Always practice makes perfect. Even math teachers said you can ask any of them. I also learned to work under pressure. Writing Olympiads, there's time pressure. You have to know when to think on the spot. So I had to know how to adapt to work like that. Also, focusing on weak points, that could work for any competitive sport. For me, focusing on weak points would be, there's different topics in mathematics, and my weak point is combinatorics, which is like counting things, how many ways of sorting the amount of objects, and the ways of choosing so many objects from this amount. So just working on that was a weak point for me, and working on those weak points can actually help you so much. And lastly, what I want to be when I grow up. So it's difficult to tell what I want to study and what I want to be when I grow up. I follow closely to the career of the greatest inventor of our time, Elon Musk, who's, some of you might not know, he was from Pretoria, and he studied a degree in Canada. He's changed the banking industry through PayPal, the car industry through Tesla, and now he sent rockets to space for NASA. And lastly, I just want to end the quote with a quote, if you aim for the stars and miss, you still end up on the moon, just like Elon Musk. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. I mean, that's truly, truly incredible, and I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to continue to do amazing things all throughout your life. So thank you very much for, taking some time out of your day to come and chat to us. So moving on, next we have an absolute giant in the world of schoolboy cricket, and his name is Daniel Smith, one of my good mates. So to quickly give everyone a brief understanding of some of Smithy's achievements without embarrassing him too much, at the age of 18, he has already played in the SA Colts team, represented his province at Coke Week. He's represented the equivalent of the Junior Cape Cobras, of which he was the captain, and has already played a men's List A 50-over game. So Smithy, would you mind telling everyone, as a top cricketer, what has kept you busy during lockdown? Be that staying active, or have you rather taken the time to focus on setting new goals or reanalyzing your game? Secondly, what would be in the future for you? What are you wanting to do after school? And thirdly, as I'm sure lots of people don't know, you've started your own cricket academy. So please would you mind telling us, how that came about and what are you planning to achieve from that?
Yeah, thanks, Nate, for the introduction. If you told me that 3 years ago, those achievements, I don't know what I would do. I'd never thought it would be possible that I'd get those achievements. But it's good to know that the hard work has paid off. Just regarding lockdown, lots of people, they would say they didn't enjoy lockdown. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed it. Luckily, I had a full season of cricket, which I'm really thankful for. I really feel bad for the hockey and rugby players that have trained all off-season and put in the hard work, and then they're not able to have a season. But just to go back to my cricket, I've played cricket virtually for 6 months. Virtually every day I've been practicing. I actually worked it out during lockdown. Out of those 6 months of training, I only had 15 days off where I wasn't training. And that's during December and January holidays. At the end, it was all worth it. That I'm really thankful for the achievements that have come my way. But at the end of the season, my body was really starting to ache, So in lockdown, I decided that the first month I was just going to take off and relax and get my brain and my body ready, because I think the next season is going to be one of my biggest seasons, and I'm really looking forward to it. But in lockdown, I really caught up a lot of work. I think in February, I think we missed 3 out of the 4 weekends we were away traveling, and that's been quite tough, for the work. I've really missed a lot. So just to catch up on that work was nice. And also to spend some quality time with the family, I think I haven't seen much of the family, to have a nice lunch with them, which I hadn't done for months. So just to spend some quality time with the family, have the competitive games around the household, I think I took the bragging rights in most of those games, But having motivation, to do some exercise during lockdown was really tough, Luckily my brother came down after 6 weeks to come stay at my house. He was busy staying at his girlfriend's house. So he came down, and obviously he has a busy schedule. So I just, joined him in his sessions. And what stuck out with me was one quote that he always said: "We must win the day." And something so small means something so much, And for me, winning the day meant that I was good, I was healthy, I felt good, my body was good. And then obviously then doing some work, I felt good, I was learning, So it was winning the day, and doing those sessions in the morning really helped me to stay motivated. And when I didn't do those sessions, then I was procrastinating a lot of the time, which wasn't that great. And cricket's been a massive part of my life. Growing up with an older brother who loves sport just as much as I do has been a real blessing. I mean, as I said earlier, we're both very competitive, and we're always pushing each other to do our best. So sports careers can't just happen your whole life, so it's important to get something behind your name. So I'd love to get a degree behind my name while pursuing my cricket career. I'm not a person that likes to set stats goals, because for me the most important thing is to win matches and being able to contribute in those winning games. So then, just to touch on my career, I'm going to try work as hard as possible and do whatever I can to make the dream become a reality and to see where it takes me. Obviously I want to represent my country one day, but obviously that just doesn't happen. So I'm going to try to do everything I can, train 110%. If there's a guy on my left training 90%, I'm going to train extra just to make sure that I'm a step ahead of that guy. So I really look forward to that. And as I said earlier, cricket has played a massive part in my life, and I want to be involved in cricket for as long as possible. And that's why I've opened up with my cousin an academy where we can grow and nurture young talent to be the next generation of cricketers. My cousin and I have started the academy with both the same love for the game. He has pursued his cricketing career in Ireland, and he's playing at a real high level there, which is really nice. Our vision is to inspire young cricketers to fall in love with this wonderful game. We hope to walk a journey with each person that joins our academy. Our academy, called Cricketing Nation Academy, has already started in Ireland, and so far it's been doing really well. We really look forward to opening up our academy in South Africa in the new year. The aim is to offer various types of coaching to young kids who want to develop their skills and grow their love for the game. We as Cricketing Nation are really looking forward to the upcoming years. Thank you.
Well, Smithy, thanks so much for that. I think we can all agree, that your achievements speak for themselves, and we're so incredibly proud of everything you have done, and we just want to wish you very best for your cricketing career and for your academy. So from one sport to the next, we have Didi Isabella. Do you mind telling everyone, where have you grown up playing your soccer? What does, your normal playing before lockdown, what does your playing or practicing regime look like? And where are you hoping to take your soccer one day in the future?
Thanks, Nick. So, for me, I started playing soccer, in the streets of Crossroads in Cape Town and back home in Kwakwa. So that's where, I started playing. That's where I got introduced to the game. And then, when my granny and I moved to Clifton, that's where, I started seeing a lot of things, because she introduced me to my first club, which was Camps Bay Football Club. And that's where I got exposed quite a lot, and I thank her for that. And I'm grateful for all the opportunities that Camps Bay gave me. They were able to put me into a team, the Rainbow team, that went and played in Sweden overseas, and I was exposed to different playing styles and how other teams play, and that really helped me. That made me see what I need to work on and my strengths and my weaknesses. And then I went to my friend Cabello. He introduced me to Greenpoint, and that's where I came back, and that's where I gained more confidence. That's where I started believing in myself again, that I can actually do this, and I kept working hard. And I thank you for your support. And with soccer, I would like to, my end goal is to be able to go play overseas and be able to represent South Africa to the fullest. And I want the people back home, because there's a lot of people that back home that has got a lot of talent, but they fall into drugs, alcohol, and they lack that self-belief, because it's because of things that they're surrounded by and the people. So I want to show them that if you believe in yourself and you work hard and you give everything you've got, that you can make it. That's what I want to show. Yeah.
Well, Didi, that's awesome, and thank you once again for coming to chat to us. We're backing you all the way, and we hope that your career, whatever you choose, will be a successful one. So now, last but not least, we have one of our very own teachers, Mrs. Kruger. Now, what some of you may not know is that not only is she a fantastic math teacher, but she also used to represent South Africa in touch rugby. So, ma'am, in terms of the teaching side of things, and from a teacher's point of view, how has the way the teaching had to change in order for you to obviously adapt to this new way of life? What do you think the future of education is going to look like as long as this virus is around? And what tips do you have for those boys who might be struggling with motivation to work at home during this period?
Cool, thanks, Nate. So before I get started, I'd just like to mention something Emmanuel said. So I got the privilege of teaching him in grade 9, and let's be honest, there was not really much I needed to teach him, but he was the one student who always did his homework, and I just think for me that shows such humility and dedication. So he wasn't happy with just resting on his natural talent and ability. So just wanted to commend him on that publicly, and also say to everyone, it's not just about the talent you have, it is about giving that 100%. So yeah, and maybe you can tell Dan over there that also you can't work 110%, Dan. SACS Maths has not taught you anything. No. Also, I hope that you get a haircut before you put your helmet on, because I'm scared it might impair your vision to get all those runs. And when it comes to the motivation I'm going to touch on, I feel like, Didi, you just shared half the things just in what you shared. So I'm going to touch on a few things. In terms of what how my teaching style has changed, I think I'm very grateful that I am someone who believes very much in building relationship, because I think that's been critical, having to do stuff online and not having that face-to-face presence, being able to do that. But I think that I've had to really increase my trust levels, because usually in class you get to see people responding and you can kind of check where people are at, and online with staring at little icons of J's and N's and D's and whatever people's names are and not being able to say faces has been really tough. And so having to trust that people are being honest in the chat. So having to just use different mediums to get feedback and rely heavily on students' trust levels there. That's definitely been a change. In terms of what I think it looks like, I think it's such a big question, and it really depends on the context. I think you've got the one option of like the UNISA style, where you just get like a whack of books. That normally comes in March when your first assignment was due in February, and then that assignment is multiple choice, and your first answers for the 10 questions are all A, and you think that you've definitely answered something wrong. So I feel like that's the one extreme, that you're very much independent on your own. Here's your work, and you can contact a lecturer or a teacher if you need to. And I think some schools in our country, unfortunately, have to be in that position. And then you've got the other extreme, where it's like, right, we're going to pretend that school is just in your living room or in your bedroom, and we're going to do online 8 till 3. I think that what it's going to look like, SACS is definitely somewhere in the middle. And I think what it's going to involve, if this is going to be with us for much longer, is a focus on doing different types of educating, on time management, on boundaries, on self-discipline, those kind of skills, which in the long run, I think if people have actually maximized, or if students have maximized this time in lockdown at SACS, I think will actually have been set up quite well for the future of studying independently, I guess. So I think that's how it's going to have to look different. And I think it'll have to look different in terms of subjects as well. I think realizing that the needs for biology and for maths and for English and for Afrikaans are also different, trying to adapt there. But the main thing that I wanted to answer that you asked about was motivation, because I think that's such a big one. And so because I'm a nerd like that, I made the little anagram of motivation from the letters of SACS. And so the first one I wanted to say is, if you're struggling with motivation at home, make sure that you are scheduling. And what I mean by scheduling is that depending on where you find yourself, if you're like that A-type personality who has to tick everything off and do every single exercise and every single task that's set, you might finding yourself lack of motivation because you're actually a bit burnt out. And so I'd say it's really important that you schedule in rest, your rest time. If you are the extreme person who maybe is not that way inclined and really prefers to wake up, at 2 o'clock after lunchtime and maybe watch Netflix all evening so that you then wake up at 2 o'clock the next lunchtime, it's really important that you schedule in when are you going to do your work and your exercise and all the other things that keep you healthy. During lockdown, I personally attended a seminar on well-being, and they said to make sure that your well-being is flourishing, that you are motivated and doing well in life. They kind of said you've got to fill 5 buckets. They said you've got to make sure that you have doing something that it gives you positive emotion. So that could look different for different people. Maybe it's for an introvert, it might be sitting on the couch reading a book. For an extrovert, it might be having an hour-long WhatsApp call conversation to their best mate. But something that really makes you experience that positive emotion. Doing something that engages you in such a way that you almost stop thinking about it. So for sportsmen, that might be going for a long run, or kicking a ball at a wall for hours, or hitting a ball in the net, something like that. For my husband, it's playing Call of Duty. He doesn't do a lot of thinking during that, but that's definitely an engagement activity. That you're keeping your relationships up, that you are still engaging in relationships with the people that matter to you. That you're doing things that give you meaning, whatever that looks like. It might be helping out a friend with their studies. It might be doing some coaching. It might be whatever that looks like, but something with meaning. And the last one is that you are doing something that gives you a sense of achievement. So make sure that there are things that you are completing in your day, because sometimes it can feel like a never-ending list. So make sure that you are achieving things. So that's my S. And the others are a lot shorter than just the S. But that's the scheduling. Make sure you're scheduling in the things that matter. The A is for admit to yourself. And what I mean is by admit to yourself is be honest with where you're at, especially in terms of your academics. At home, are you behind? Are you coping? Are you not? But if you don't admit it to yourself, it's really hard for you to move out of that space. And that admit kind of leads to the next C, which is communicate. Once you've admitted to yourself where you're at, you're able to communicate. There are so many people who care so deeply about how you guys are doing in lockdown. I know personally as a teacher, I'm like, how are my kids doing? It's really a challenge. And you've got some people's parents, some people might find a tutor teacher, their peers, but I really encourage you, if you're struggling with motivation, just connect, communicate with someone who's invested. I had a grade 12 who I don't even teach, who reached out during lockdown based on a message I put on the Google Classroom for the grade and said, like, Flip, I'm so far behind. I'm so demotivated because I actually just am so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. And actually, we had a Zoom chat. We sat down. We went through all the things that needed to be done and put a schedule together. And so manageable. He's flourishing, and he did really well in his maths test. So that makes me happy. So that's the communicate. And the last S was for. Let me think. See, it was going to be celebrate, and then I was like, but that starts with a C, so that was a bit awkward. So let me just try and remember. Nate, I told you, do you remember? Oh, the last one was self-talk. That what you say to yourself matters. So when you're in lockdown, you say, I can't do this, or I can't get out of bed, or I can't do whatever. It's really important how you frame what you say to yourself. And so I just want to encourage you guys, you're at SACS because you've got talent, and you've shown that you can use your talent in whatever way that is. And so I want to encourage you to remind yourself that you can do the challenge that is in front of you, and that you're not alone. One thing I do love about teaching here is that I do feel that there is part of a brotherhood, and everyone, I know that sounds weird as a girl, but I still feel part of it. And we're all in this together. And so remind yourself what you say to yourself. So that's the SACS analogy. And to end off, I just wanted to touch on what Didi shared. Just in his general sharing, he mentioned how grateful he was to certain people in his life. And something that I found has helped keep me motivated and positive as a person is at the end of the day, in our household, we just take a few minutes to say 5 things we're grateful for every day. And sometimes it's the same things, and sometimes it's a big thing, and sometimes it's a small thing. But it just helps remind us and change our mindset and perspective that there is so much to be grateful for, even in this time that's so challenging. I heard a talk by a friend of mine who he was very active, and 8 years ago he injured himself in a diving accident and is now paralyzed. And he was just saying how frustrated he was with people complaining about lockdown. And he said, for me, I'm locked in my body. I can't move. I can't play my soccer, do my cricket, do my sport, whatever it is. But I'm still able to recognize that there's so much to be grateful for. And it just really challenged me. And I think having that gratitude mindset helps in all the motivation steps. So that's my essay. Thank you for listening to me.
No, I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for that, ma'am. I mean, there you have it. That is coming from one of our very own teachers, and that advice is, you can't buy that advice. It's from one of our very own teachers. So I would really encourage everyone, to take that advice on board, as it will help you whenever or in whichever area you're struggling with. So that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Just wanted to once again thank these fantastic people for being on and for giving up some time to chat to us. Special thanks to all of you who have been watching these last this episode and the one before. And I just wanted to send out a reminder to keep that social distancing and that sanitizing up. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.